Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today we're going to be going over the market, talk about Tesla, see what there is to, of course, dissect, if you will, from the movement and what we can expect for the rest of the week, especially, of course, technically tomorrow, but Thursday, the split is happening, right? It's pretty much after the market closes tomorrow. So Thursdays should be the first day that Tesla trades with the new split adjusted price, which will be pretty exciting stuff in my opinion. Definitely looking forward to that, and especially how Tesla reacts to that. Very much looking forward to that. But nonetheless, let's go over the market, guys. So Tesla ending the day at just shy of $890, putting us up about 2.26% on the day. Compared to the market overall, Tesla performing quite decently. Again, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a run up to the split happening. Essentially, again, Wednesday after market, right? So tomorrow is essentially the last day to trade Tesla at this price or to buy shares at this price before it becomes split adjusted, in case you want to for whatever reason, right? Now, Tesla did better than the market, which is a good sign. Again, that to me is just a sign of, hype, momentum, whatever you want to call it. But ultimately, I would still definitely make the argument the fact that Tesla is still overall net looking bearish. Again, it doesn't mean that, we can maybe get, rise up a bit more, whatever. But overall, Tesla still, in my opinion, looking a little bit bearish, right? The volume was still pretty low, right? I mean, similar to the past, honestly, week almost, very low volume recently. Maybe, I think a lot of people are waiting for the split. I did see a post. Let me very quickly find it. My friend has also sent me this. There was a post that I saw showing very bearish activity happening on, or Tesla being the most bearish. This right here, right? So this is something to keep in mind, right? Tesla, the most bearish flow today, right? So that's another thing to kind of consider. So, I mean, again, you want to take flow with a grain of salt. It's not always accurate just because there's a flow for a certain direction, like puts or calls, whatever. It doesn't mean that it has to go that direction, but it is, again, just something else to add to the list of, potentially like all the other factors that you want to consider. So that being said, let's very quickly take a look at the major indicators. You can see we did bounce off the 21 EMA. We're still holding it. Yesterday and today, we bounced off, or at least closed above it, which is a good sign at least, right? Still hugging the white line on the Bollinger Band, which is kind of what I said I expected, right? I expected to kind of, hug around this white line for quite a bit, probably for at least tomorrow for sure, maybe even Thursday. We'll see what happens Thursday. Thursday will be interesting. But that's something else to consider. On top of that, of course, we also have, let me go ahead and remove this. We have the 50 moving average, which is like way down there. We don't care about that just yet. That's in the mid 700s. Still got pretty much directly rejected by the 200 moving average. I'm trying to find one more post that I do want to share with you guys very quickly over here somewhere, right here. So I want to go over this after. Right, so we have the 200 moving average, which is essentially pulling a rejection on us, and we're still below the short-term moving averages, being the 5 and the 10, which you can see we pretty much got rejected by both of them today as well. So definitely showing a bit of resistance. Now, I would be genuinely surprised if Tesla can break above this kind of range right here. That's like 900 to 895. That's like, very, very high 800 range to pretty much 900. I would actually be surprised if Tesla breaks through that, tomorrow, let's say, and if it does, I would expect it to be a bull trap going into the split. Right, so that's one thing definitely to consider. Let me go ahead and remove these things as well. So I did call yesterday how I thought today will be a green day, how we get a bounce, and that's exactly what we did. I did exit my sold put position, which was a bullish position at about a 40% profit. So I'm definitely gonna take that as you will. Obviously, I closed out a little bit too early. Could have been like a 60% profit, but sometimes it is what it is, right? But yeah, so ultimately, guys, Tesla's still looking bearish, right? The chart is still looking not that great. We still made a lower low on the RSI, even though the stock hasn't made a lower low ultimately, right? Which is not good. And pretty much, I would say that the main thing that you want to pay attention to for Tesla in case of breaking down to the downside, or to like really confirm the fact that this double top pattern is going to play out and we are going to start plummeting down to like at the very least 700s, or split adjusted, that'll be like what, like 200 and something or something like that, is pretty much a break of the blue line and 840, right? If we break 840 and this blue line, so I mean the blue line will come first, of course, in this case, right? That's going to be like the resistance and support that we kind of held over here a few times. But pretty much the easiest way to think about it is if 840 ever collapses at any point, 840 collapses, that to me pretty much almost guarantees that this double top pattern is now set in motion. Because even though this double top pattern is technically acting out right now, I wouldn't necessarily call it a confirmed pattern just yet. The true confirmation is to break below this, like the middle part of the M, right? Because again, a double top pattern is essentially an M shape, right? So the bottom part of the middle part of the M, which again happens to be this area right here, which is pretty much around that 840 level. A break of that to the south side is essentially confirmation that this pattern is indeed going to play out. And if it does happen, then I would not be shocked whatsoever if we at least come down to like 750, right? That'll be like the main price target off of that pattern specifically, like around 750, maybe even a bit lower than that, right? So that's kind of what we're going to be looking at for, right? The thing that would nullify this pattern for the bulls to go higher would, I think, quite obviously be pretty much a break of this kind of, you know, rectangle, if you will, that I have over here, which is pretty much around this like 940-ish level, right? So again, whichever one comes first, for now, I expect some chop in between and to see which way we go from that. But taking a look at the markets as well, right? You can see SPY getting some pretty harsh rejection today. Where's the 200 moving average on SPY? It's at 430, so it's well above us. That's where we got rejected a while ago, right? So the SPY is getting rejected at well above there, which was essentially what made this, you know, massive fall happen to begin with. But it's still not really showing too many signs of, you know, that it wants to run just yet. So to me, this tells me that, you know, might be some choppiness happening for the next, again, maybe day or two potentially. And then I wouldn't be surprised if maybe like Thursday. Tomorrow I expect to be somewhat sideways and boring, honestly, for the market. Maybe not Tesla. We'll see what happens with Tesla. But I ultimately expect overall sideways action for now-ish. And then maybe on Thursday, maybe Friday, because Friday we have the Powell speech, we get a little bit of a further drop to maybe like 410, let's say, something like that, right? Maybe 410, 409, something like that on the SPY, which again would coincide with Tesla as well, in my opinion, dropping pretty much on Thursday after the split. Now, one thing I want to talk about that's quite important for Tesla, specifically regarding splits, right, is the last time Tesla had a split. So if we actually take a look very quickly on the chart here, you can actually see it as well. If we go all the way back to right here, this was the last time Tesla split, right? So you can see this right here, yellow S. So that's the day it split. So you can see we had like, you know, massive run up into the split. And then look what happened after that. Huge sell off. Now, granted, Tesla did do an offering there. However, this is a nice little breakdown that, you know, Mr. Gerg over here has done, where the split data was up here, right? Which is, again, this top green right here. And then you can see pretty much right after the split, we completely collapsed. And then we had this bit of green. And then after that, we had the offering, which then collapsed even further. But nonetheless, even after the split, he says, it, you know, as you can see, dumped almost 20% after the split before apparently the offering was announced, as far as I'm aware. I can't remember exactly, it was so long ago. I don't remember exactly, you know, how accurate that is. But, you know, it does seem pretty accurate for the most part, at least. It makes sense, right? Because it's very common to sell the news in these kind of situations. And again, like I said yesterday, if Tesla runs into the split, I'm bearish. If it sells off into the split, then I become a little bit more bullish, right? And so far, we seem to be running into the split. We already ran pretty aggressively here into the split, and that was just the whole market in general, of course. But the fact that we ran today and might even run a little bit more tomorrow, potentially, or at the very least go sideways. I would be surprised if we sell off tomorrow, but, you know, we'll see, of course. You know, it's not looking good, right? And again, if you just look at the RSI, just setting lower lows, which isn't great. You know, I personally don't like to see that, which is, you know, not a good sign. If we go over to, let's say, the 1 hour, the 1 hour is looking, you know, not amazing either. It's at also a lower low in the RSI, even though the stock obviously has not set a lower low, right? So this low over here, again, don't forget, guys, was 840. The RSI was around 31. The RSI just tapped 27.5. The stock was at 860, 20 points higher in the stock. The RSI was, you know, a fair amount lower, right? So that's just another sign that, you know, there's just a bunch of bearish divergences pretty much setting up on every single time frame, on the slightly longer, I guess, time frame, right? But however, if you go to the slightly shorter time frames, it's not looking as bad. So you can see, for instance, here, it's not looking atrocious. It is looking like it is kind of, you know, potentially topping around this area. I do think if we start falling below, once again, 880, then, you know, we can start also getting a short-term bearish movement as well, on top of the long-term looking, you know, overall net bearish as well. So yeah, that's kind of why I exited my position, because I personally don't like the way it's looking. I personally think that, you know, again, I could be very well wrong, guys. Not financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research, you know, whatever. But, you know, ultimately, Tesla, guys, to me, you know, it is what it is, right? It's looking net bearish to me. So we'll see what happens after the split. See if that somehow fixes anything or changes anything at all. If anything updates, or if anything's starting to look more bullish, then I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, I am obviously more bearish than bullish for now. And again, once that changes, and if I start entering more bullish positions for a longer term, one thing I am planning on doing is actually entering a little bit of a bullish position, maybe like 15% of my portfolio in September, hopefully on some nice red, just so I have upside exposure. Not saying that I think that's the bottom or anything like that, but because right now I have literally zero upside exposure, and I'm technically all on the downside exposure. Not that I have puts or anything, but I'm essentially all cash, which is essentially a downside exposure position, right? because I want it to go down, because I want to buy. So I might actually enter a little bit of a bullish position for a slightly longer time frame, just for the sake of, if the market does decide to rally, because there's also too many people that think that we're going to just completely plummet in September, October, which that's like the one thing that's making me a little bit nervous about it, that maybe we won't just yet. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer than we expected. Who knows? It's very hard to determine the market's movements, but we try our best, of course. But that is currently what I'm seeing, guys. Let me know what you think down below as usual. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.